My name is Allison Gilstrap, and today, July 19th, I'm going to give a persuasive speech about the negative effects of modern media. Have you ever wondered what's wrong with the world today, or why there are so many more issues than just a couple of generations ago? The problem is probably in your hand right now, your cell phone, which houses all of your modern media. Modern media is the cause of so many problems today. Instead of worrying about becoming a respectable person, this generation is more worried about online dating, six-packs, and video gaming. Moral standards are on a rapid decline while body shaming and violence are on a rise. In the article, Negative Effects of Social Media Greater Than Previously Thought, Catherine Clementine says the negative effects of the internet and social media on young people could be far greater than previously thought, suggests new research. I, too, am a part of this generation and can see firsthand what modern media is doing to us. It is important for us to understand these negative effects of modern media in order to protect ourselves and our children and to develop into happy, respectable members of society. Modern media is to blame for lowering moral standards, body shaming, and increasing violence. It is no secret that in today's society there are much less moral standards than in the past generations. If you were to ask your grandma how your grandma and grandpa met, I can promise you she will not say he slid into her DMs. People used to meet people at stores or restaurants or through a friend. Now most love stories would begin with swiping right on Tinder or liking several Instagram pictures. Modern media has taught men that they do not need to approach the girl and ask her to dinner. They can just find her on Instagram and like her pictures, and hopefully she will DM them. But the men are not the only ones to blame. Everyone wants to get a lot of likes on Instagram, right? This leads girls into taking more provocative pictures. Back in the day, less was more. If you wanted a man's attention, you showed less. The less that you showed, the more the man wanted you. But now, if you don't put up 1,000 bikini pictures holding up a Bahama Mama and hashtagging single, then no man is going to message you and ask you out. Since when is it okay to post sexy pictures all over the internet because you want guys to notice you? Modern media is a cause of decline in moral standards, but a huge increase in body shaming. When you look on the cover of a magazine, what does the model on the front look like? Does she have a pudgy belly and stretch marks on her thighs? No. Instead, she is tall, very thin, and her body seems flawless. Or what about the actors on TV and movies? Usually they're very thin and look absolutely perfect. I don't think I have ever seen a model or actor with visible stretch marks or anything on their body less than perfect. Well, besides Fat Amy on Pitch Perfect, but they call her Fat Amy and nobody wants to be called that. Modern media has put it into women's heads that the only way to be beautiful is to be thin. In her journal titled An Intervention for the Negative Influence of Media on Body Esteem, Cheryl J. Hawes says, media exposure to female images that are thin and airbrushed is also associated with depression and lower self-esteem in the women who view them. There are so many photo editing apps out there now where you can whiten your teeth, erase blemishes, enlarge your breasts, and shave off a few pounds. What's wrong with just being who we are? Body shaming is at an all-time high. Cheryl J. Hawes also says, research has shown that media exposure to unattainable physical perfection is detrimental to people, especially women, and that the detrimental effects are currently more the rule than the exception. Women now feel a constant need to compare themselves to others. Every time we look at another woman, we can't help but to compare ourselves. We feel inferior to anyone that is skinnier than us or has a bigger butt than us or straighter teeth than us. Modern media has ingrained it into us that we are not beautiful unless we look just like all the other beautiful women in the world. However, nothing could be further than the truth. We are all beautiful in our own way. And here we have body image statistics. It says 80% of women say that images of women on television and in movies, fashion magazines, and advertising make them feel insecure. 42% of girls 1st through 3rd grade want to be thinner. 81% of 10-year-olds are afraid of being fat. The average woman is 5'4" and weighs 140 pounds, while the average model is 5'11" and weighs 110 pounds. More than half of teenage girls are or think they should be on diets. Due to the media, many people are ashamed of their own body, but there is also another type of media that is causing a much more dangerous issue. Violence rates are on a steady rise. Before all the media existed, people didn't even lock their doors at night. They knew nothing bad was going to happen. It was always taught that violence is wrong. Now, however, it is almost promoted. Some of the most common video games are fighting, shooting, and robbing people. New York Times article titled "The Gaming of Violence" says, after a few hours of doom, a child isn't virtually more skillful at pointing and shooting, he is actually more skillful, which is very scary. Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto are two of the most popular video games today that our generation is playing. Young people are getting addicting to playing video games and spend way too much time playing them. If all you do all day is shoot people and rob people, then you think that these behaviors are acceptable. This leads people to going into the real world and acting that way. In Bahavik Marana's article, Violent Video Gaming and Moral Reasoning in Adolescence, is there an association? He says, the results demonstrated the significant negative relationship between adolescents' amount of time playing violent video games during their day and their socio-moral maturity based on their scores on the socio-moral reflection measure. Modern media makes shooting and robbing people no longer seem morally wrong, but instead fun. The increasing violent rates are caused by gaming are one of the many problems modern media is causing. Today's generation is obsessed with modern media. It is rare that you will spot a teen or even an adult without their phone in their hand. While they are tweeting away, they do not realize what is happening to them. Modern media is a cause for moral standards to decrease drastically. Body shaming is much more evident now that media makes thin seem like the only way to be beautiful. And on top of all this, video gaming has become a real problem too. The most popular games are violent, and when they're played 24/7, they make violence seem acceptable and even enjoyable. While modern media seems fun and harmless on the outside, when really examined, it is obvious that media is harming the younger generations like me.